everyone, welcome to our video tutorial again this week. We want to thank you for always liking our video tutorials. Thank you for always commenting on our videos, and thank you for sharing our videos with those who are in need of these videos all around you. And we must also thank you for subscribing to our YouTube channel. This week we are here again to talk about light. We'll be talking about lights for some weeks now, and we are starting this week. And what we are going to discuss today is light and lighting. Light and lighting. So what is light and what is lighting? These are the things we'll be looking at this week. Let's go. Yeah, before you can say you want to be a light man, or before you can say you want to work in lighting department of a film production, you must first of all know what light is all about. You must first of all understand that very instrument, that very element you want to work on in filmmaking. And what is light? Light is an electromagnetic wave that travels on a straight line to illuminate. Light is an electromagnetic wave that travels on a straight line to illuminate. So when light comes on, light comes to illuminate. As you can see me right now, there's light illuminating me. There's light illuminating me. Just as you can see, I can use my hands to block the light. I can use my hand to block the light. So light illuminates. So what light does majorly is to illuminate. So before we can say very many things about light, we need to understand, before you can say you want to work on light, you must first of all understand the attributes of light. What are the behavior of light itself? I will talk about few behaviors of light that you need to know before you start working on light. Number one behavior of light is light travel on a straight line. Light travels on a straight line. There is no way when you put on a light to shine on any object, light will always travel on a straight line. And when light meets an opaque body, light doesn't have the capacity, that light doesn't have the ability to bend its way to another point, like water. You know, all of us understand when water is traveling, when water hits an opaque body, it is possible for water to bend to another direction and take on another direction to travel. But light in its own case travel on a straight line. And this is one of the attributes, this is one of the behavior of light that makes it unique from every other element, from every other matter. So light travels on a straight line. If light is traveling on a particular straight line and there is a body that obstructs that light, light stops where the body obstructs it. If the body happens to be an opaque body, instead of that light to shine on whatever I want to shine on, there will be a shadow of that opaque body on that very object. Take for example, like as I am now, my hand has formed an opaque body for the light coming from above me right now. Instead of the light to shine on my face, my hand has barricaded the light from shining to my face. But because the light travels on a straight line, light don't have the ability to bend and come and light my face when there is a body obstructing the line. But when the body is not an opaque body, if the body is a translucent body or a transparent body or a glass material, the ability of that light, the behavior of that light differs. When it is an opaque body, what you will experience is a thick shadow. Light will no longer travel from that body. Light cannot pass through my hand because my hand is an opaque body. When light travels and find an opaque body on its journey, then light stops traveling. Light hits that opaque body and stay there. And then the result you will see on whatever objects that must receive the light will be shadow. That's as you can see on my face. But if the body that illuminates, if the body that is obstructing the light is not an opaque body, then the behavior is a different behavior. Take for example, if the body is a translucent body, what you see is the reduction in the illumination strength of that light. And if the body is a glassy material, what you see is also a reduction in the illumination strength of that material. And then if the body is a prism, what you see is a breakout of the colors around the light. That is what happens when you see rainbow in the sky. The light is shining, and then there is a prismatic cloud that covers the light, and then the result is a rainbow. And that is why it breaks out and becomes different colors all around that you see. Another attribute of light is that the presence of light is the presence of shadow. The moment you have light available, you should always be ready to have a shadow, as long as there is a body that light is illuminating. Once you have a body that the light is illuminating, you should always expect a shadow from a source of light. Every source of light will always bring up a shadow source. Take, for example, as I raise up my hand, you can see shadow on my chest. There is a light that is shining. There is a light that is shining onto my hand. And the product of that light is this shadow. The product of that light shining on my hand is this shadow. So every light source is with its own shadow. But how you manage the light and manage the shadow is what makes you a good gaffer. So this is what we will discuss in the course of this series. But today we are talking about the attributes of these lights. We're talking about the behavior of light. So one of the behavior of light is that as long as there is a light source, there will always be a shadow. So how you now manipulate your light will determine how you are going to maintain your shadow, or how you are going to control your shadow. So another behavior of light is that light travels in a vacuum. Light travels in a vacuum. So wherever there is air, wherever there is vacuum, wherever there is emptiness, light will always travel. So the only means by which light will not travel is when there is a body that is obstructing that light. As long as there is a space in between me and the light will always travel to me. So these are the things you need to know about light before you can say you want to walk on light. Light will always travel on a straight line. And when light meets an opaque body, the result of it is shadow. And light will always travel in a vacuum. Whether it's a gaseous state, whether it's an empty space, light will always travel. That is why it is very easy for you to put on fog machine and then your light still travel within the fog machine. Another attribute that you need to know about light is that the higher your light, the lower your shadow. The higher your light, the lower your shadow. And the closer your light to the subject, the bigger your shadow. Let me explain this. This is one of the attributes that I need to explain to you very well. When you are lighting a particular subject and your light is higher than your subject, obviously the shadow of that subject will be lower than that subject. So the higher the light goes, the lower the shadow becomes. If you can observe this with the natural light, which is the sun, if you can observe this with the natural light, which is the sun, you will observe that the higher the sun, the lower our shadow. So when you are lighting your subject and your light is higher than your subject, obviously the shadow of that subject will be lower than that subject. And when you light, vice versa, when your light is lower than your subject, the shadow of that subject will be higher than that subject. And another attribute is when the light is closer to the subject, the shadow is bigger than the subject. And when the light is farther from the subject, the shadow is smaller than the object. This is what you need to know about your light. When your light is closer to the subject, the shadow of that subject tends to be bigger than that subject. And when the light is far away from that subject, the shadow of that subject tends to be smaller. You can practice this and know the attributes of light. And once you are able to practice all these attributes of light, all these behaviors of light, and you understand them, it will be very easy for you to understand how to become a lightman or how to become a gaffer in your journey as a filmmaker. Thank you for watching our video tutorial this week. God bless you.